Alright, what is up, everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we're going to be talking about the Portland Trail Blazers. They've been hot recently. They won 5 of their last 6 games. Things are looking good. I actually want to talk about the Blazers, not just this hot streak right now, but the future in general, because the Blazers are a very interesting team. I feel that isn't really being talked about a whole lot in terms of young cores and future and all that stuff when I talk about them here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. Which my Twitter and all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So the Portland Trailblazers, they have been very good recently. They won 5 of their last 6 games. They're still down at that 13th seed in the Western Conference, but they've been doing some pretty solid things over there. They got some good wins. They beat the Bulls, Miami, Orlando, Charlotte. Last night they beat Milwaukee on national TV. They lost by only 10 to the OKC Thunder. So yeah, they've had some good games, and they've been very sporadic this year in terms of how competitive they can be. Because they go on a streak where like they beat a Bucks team and they keep it close with some other teams. You're like, oh, okay. But they also go on some stretches where they lose badly to really teams that are kind of around the same level as them. So it's kind of like a week by week basis on how competitive they're gonna be, with this year. But recently, the last like about week or two, they've been actually pretty competitive. They're still not, probably not gonna make the play, not competing for anything like that. But it's nice to see some strides being taken. Over this 6 game stretch, they have the number 2 defense in the league, and overall in the entirety of the season, they're not that bad of a defense. Overall, well, it's actually 26. My fault. I thought it was gonna be higher than that. And the offense is 25th. But even last year, their defensive rating wasn't horrible. They've always been an okayish defense, and that's what really they've been building on. And there's a lot of young players stepping up, and I really like the young core of this team is flashing and showing off what it can do right now. Obviously, still have the veterans. Anthony Simons is still the number 1 in this team, even though he's not having as great of a season as he had the last 2 years, and he might be a trade candidate, maybe not the trade deadline, but at the off season. Anthony Simons, I feel like, is still one of the more underrated players in the game. I mean, he's a guy that can give you 20-ish points a night, score, get to the rim. The 3-point shot is there. Like, he's a very good scorer. Anthony Simons, he can help a lot of different teams, and he's still very young. So Anthony Simons is still doing his thing. Still have Jeremy Grant, who's not having a great year either statistically. He's only averaging like 14 a game, which is the lowest points per game average in a long time. But he's another trade candidate, but you can get some decent back for him. But looking at the other guys, some of the other vets, the younger guys on this team. Shane Sharp. Shane Sharp's something I talk about a little bit on the channel. He's had injury problems for the past 2 years. That's really kind of hurt. Well, last year he had injury problems. This year he started the year off injury problems, but since he's been back, he's been decent. He's giving you 17 points per game. He's moved to the bench now because the Blazers want to emphasize more of the defense, and Shane Sharp is not a really good defender yet. And so, last night he had a really good game against Milwaukee, brought in some instant offense, and Shane Sharp definitely has the kind of skill, like the thought of Shane Sharp is really, really good. About a 6'6" wing that is ultra athletic, has shown the ability to put the ball on the floor and score. He's shown a lot. Shane Sharp has. He just hasn't really had put it all together yet. And he's shown signs this year, and I think Shane Sharp could be a really bright piece of this future. And if Shane Sharp can turn into the player that I feel like he can be, then he could be the future kind of the centerpiece of this team for the Blazers. But he's shown some things. Danny Avdija, who had a really good year last year in Washington, still kind of shocked that the Blazers traded him for nothing basically in this offseason. Took a little while to get him to get adjusted, but since becoming a starter, Danny Avdija has been great. He's giving you 15, 6, and 3 a steal, decent shooting. Danny Avdija is just a winning player. Really, really good player. I mean, he's still only like 24 years old, which is crazy. I feel like he's been in the league for so long. He's only 24 still. A big forward that can handle the ball, could be kind of a point forward-esque. Drive to the rim, really good, really aggressive at driving to the rim, a decent 3-point shooter, really good defender as well in the wing, and just brings a lot of winning attributes to this team. And that's what I saw last year in Washington when I was like, dang, like Danny Avdija could be really good. And so far in Portland, he's been big for them. Toumani Camara has been kind of like a cult fan favorite over there. He was a guy that literally was 52nd overall pick out of, I think, Dayton. Did he come from Dayton? Hold on, I gotta look again. Yeah, he came from Dayton, and honestly, he just wasn't a guy that was really on my radar during my draft process. I didn't really know who he was or anybody. I don't think anybody knew who he was. He was the 52nd overall pick. He was a throw in to the Damian Lillard trade. The Suns just threw him in because they were like, whatever, it's a second round pick just to make money match. And he's been one of the better players and more valuable players on the Blazers. He's a forward that can defend, very gritty defender. Can defend multiple different positions. Already a really good defender. Offensively, can be kind of a connecting piece. He can pass the ball. He can handle the ball a little bit. He can shoot the ball a little bit. So it's like he's a really good, another versatile kind of winning player that him and Denny combo as their Knights, even though both aren't elite 3-point shooters. Those aren't guys that are going to pop off and hit 7, 8 3-pointers in a game or anything like that, or maybe drop 35 points. But they're both just solid wings that can defend at a very high level, but also can contribute on the offensive end and not just be a nothing on the offensive end. Um, you have Donovan Clingan, your first round pick from this year, who has shown in his 34 games that he's going to be very impactful once he gets kind of more his legs under him. He's had injuries so far this season, and once he gets more minutes, he gets more acclimated to the NBA conditioning and style. He's going to be very good. He's averaging over 1.5 blocks per game in only 16 minutes. So imagine giving him 28, 30 minutes per game, what he can do. And already, especially early in the year when he was showing off, he showed that he can be super, super impactful. And the Blazers are a better team when he's on the court. Like early in the year, I don't know what the numbers are now, but early in the year, literally watching, you can see, oh, they're better with him on the court. So you have Donovan Clingan. Robert Williams has shown some things this year, even though he probably will be a trade candidate. Robert Williams has still shown in the 17 games he's played that he can be valuable. DeAndre Ayton is around. He had a good game last night, but DeAndre Ayton is kind of still around here. He'll probably be around for a little while longer. I don't know who's taking DeAndre Ayton right now, but he's not horrible, at least. And then you have Scoot Henderson. This is the last 2 weeks have been the arrival of Scoot Henderson. Obviously, he's the number 3 overall pick 2 years ago. Not a great rookie year. The start of this year was not great. A lot of it wasn't looking great for Scoot. Which was really unfortunate. He was kind of supposed to be the guy that was gonna take the mantle after Dame left. But recently he has had some good games. Recently he's showing his stuff. In his last 9 games, he's averaging 17, 6 assists and a steal, 52% from the field, 48% from three. The 3-point shot has been big. He's been knocking down threes. He had a 8 3-pointer game. He had a 5 3-pointer game, a couple of 3 3-pointer games. The 3-point shot has been falling, and he's been a lot more confident taking it. The assist numbers have been there. He just looks a lot more comfortable, and he looks like he's finally kind of figuring out the curve, which is tough. Being a point guard is probably the toughest position to translate into the NBA because point guards are kind of like the main. They're kind of the center of everything. Where to be a point guard in this league, to be a successful point guard in the league, you have to be high IQ. You have to know different things. You have to be the smartest player on the court, kind of in a way, and have the most. You kind of have maybe the most control over the game, a lot of it. And for young point guards coming out of college, especially Scoot from the G League Ignite, which showed G League Ignite wasn't really successful like they thought it was going to be. It's hard for a point guard to come in, a young point guard, and come in and right away just hit it. You know, like it's really tough. Unless you're like a Luka Doncic or like it takes time, and it just took a year and a half for Scoot to kind of finally, figure out how to learn it. A little learning curve, but over the past, I want to say 2 weeks, he's been doing his thing. So if Scoot can kind of maybe not be a superstar, but if Scoot can finally latch on, and maybe they have something nice for the future with him, then this Blazers team looks even better for the future. And I think they have one of the more underrated young cores in the league. I mean, you have Scoot Henderson, who could be a really solid point guard, exciting point guard that can, score and facilitate. You have Shane Sharp, a young wing that looks like he could be a 20-something point per game scorer in this league. Danny Avdija and Toumani Camara, they're both sub 25 years old. They're both two wings that can defend and can give you some things on the offensive end. Donovan Clingan, you have who could be a rim protecting, lob catching, the prototypical center that you want in the NBA. If you're not a Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, you're not a scorer, that type of center, you want a center like him that is going to block shots at a high level, especially for him, and then rebound and catch lobs. You have some pieces there. You have really good pieces. And then, depending on what you get back for guys like Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant, when you do, and Robert Williams, you do trade them, the Blazers look like they have a decent future in mind. Now, the coaching situation, Chauncey Billups is on the last year of his contract. Most likely, he probably won't come back after this year, which is unfortunate because I don't think Chauncey's a bad coach, but it just how things are going. Looks like they might get a new head coach in next year. But they have some things for the future. And depending on who they can, if they can hit on this lottery pick coming up this year and get another, I want to say maybe get another wing player, I think it would be nice, even though, better said than done. But, get another decent wing player to add into the mix, maybe a two guard, a guy that can play 2 and 3, depending on how Shane Sharp shapes up, if he's a small forward or a shooting guard or whatever. Like, the Blazers look like they have a pretty nice future set up for them. And they have some pieces in place. And this year, over this little win streak, they've shown that some of these young guys, they have been kind of like the integral part of the win streak. It's been Scoot Henderson playing well and finally learning in the NBA. It's been Danny Avdija and Tuani Kamara causing havoc. It's been Shane Sharp, coming in and providing some scoring. Like, it's been them. Obviously, you also have to give credit to Anthony Simons, who has been their leading scorer. Jamie Grant hits a couple shots. DeAndre Ayton has his moments here and there that shows. But, like, the main piece I feel like that is really, driving this win streak has been the young guys. And it's really cool to see the young guys kind of go out and play. And it's just showing kind of the Blazers front office, showing the organization, hey, we have something decent going on here. We have some nice things for the future. We just need to keep building on it and keep getting these guys more experience. So I'm very interested to see what the Blazers' future looks like, in terms of their trades, and if that's a trade down, if they can get off of Robert Williams and get something decent back for him, in the offseason, maybe if they can find something for Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant, and maybe DeAndre Ayton, even though DeAndre Ayton, he's probably staying on the team for a little while longer for Portland, but they can get something decent back for those three guys, and hit on this draft pick in this next coming year. Like, things could be set up that the Blazers can have a really nice future in the next couple of years. I'm not saying they're going to be a Houston Rockets, OKC, where all of a sudden next year they're a top 3 seed or anything like that. I don't think that's coming for a little while longer. But they can, show some flashes where they are building something, and then next year maybe they can kind of improve a little bit more, maybe be in playing conversation, even if they don't make it, just being in playing conversation and being, a sneaky team in there. That could be something. But I'm very excited kind of to see what this Blazers future looks like. But yeah, it's gonna be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, also for that. I'd really appreciate it a whole lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.